and welcome to All There Is. I'm your host, Kelly Bargabas. Thanks for tuning in. The title of today's episode is The Ideal Candidate. You know when you're at a wedding reception and open bar has been going on for a little bit, the ceremony's over, everybody's at the reception, maybe it's towards the end of the reception, maybe it hasn't started yet. It's really all relative to how long cocktails have been flowing, but you're at a wedding reception and there's always that person or people. Maybe it's Uncle Jim or Aunt Tonya. Maybe it's both of them. But there's always someone. There's always that person who drank a little too much and is out on the dance floor holding up their drink, singing along to Celine Dion's It's All Coming Back to Me Now because they've requested it for the third time. And you're sitting at your table and at first you think, is it me? Am I the only sober one? Am I just in a bad mood? Do I just hate weddings? Like, is it me? Like, what is going on here? But then it keeps happening, right? Uncle Jim, Aunt Tonya, they're still out on the dance floor. They're singing, they're swaying, they're spilling their drink. And you start to look around the room and see that everyone else is looking slightly uncomfortable too. Maybe they're looking down at their feet, they're shuffling. These days, they're on their phone, right? Trying to keep a straight face while chaos is breaking out on the dance floor. Everyone begins to look around the room at each other like, this is crazy. They're nuts. Who's going to go up there and get Uncle Jim off the dance floor? Anybody? Hello? And so what do we do in that situation? Maybe we head to the bar ourselves, right? If you can't beat them, join them. Might as well go get a drink and get out there and sing along. Maybe we pay the band or the DJ to stop playing Celine Dion. Or worst of all, we just leave, check out, disengage, sit at the table on our phones and wait for someone else to say what everyone else is thinking, or wait for someone else to handle it. We just check out. I kind of feel like we're in that situation right now, right? We're being inundated with some really wild stuff. And I know it's not just me, but I feel like I'm looking around the room trying to make eye contact with someone that I can roll my eyes at and say telekinetically, like, what is happening? Is it me? Is it us? Is what we're really seeing normal? Is it crazy? Like, what is happening? And so we're going to talk about it in this episode and also the next few that I have coming up. Now, for my entire career, I've worked in the business world, including C-suite roles. I'm CFO, COO right now. And the only reason I share that is to give you some context, because what it means is that I've done a lot of hiring and firing, performance reviews, layoffs. I've had to make some really difficult decisions about people that have impacted their lives and their families. And, none of it was ever lost on me. I took it very seriously. I've also done a fair amount of interviewing myself at all different stages of my career. I even wrote a little bit about it in my leadership book that is called Here to Lead. There's a link on my website. It's on Amazon. You can read it if you want to. But there's a whole chapter on how to interview to get the offer. So it's something that I've spent really a fair amount of time doing and thinking about. And when you are hiring an important role, you want to find the best possible person for the job. You want to find the ideal candidate, right? You want to find the person who has the right amount of experience, education, skills. You're also looking for those soft skills too. You want someone who's willing to listen and learn and most of all be a leader. So when it comes to electing our next president, I tend to think of it in terms of a hiring process and one in which I believe the best possible person for the role should get the job. That's how it's been in my career, right? That's how it is in corporate America. Theoretically, the best possible person should get the job. It certainly hasn't always been that way. And in the business world, there's been a lot of work done to ensure fairness, access, to eradicate bias, conscious and subconscious, and discrimination. It is illegal to discriminate on the basis of many things: race, gender, ability, age, ethnicity, religion, right? And, it certainly is not perfect, but it has come a long way. Even in my own 30-year career, I've seen major changes in the hiring process to ensure fairness and access. A typical hiring process begins with a job posting. You put it out there that you're looking for someone. You put out a call for candidates. We have an opening for this. We need candidates with the appropriate experience, skills, education to apply. So people respond. They fill out the application. They send in their resume. They hold up their hand and say, pick me. I want this job. I can do it. And then there's a screening process that follows. first round of interviews, and then the successful candidates go to a second round, maybe a third round, depending on how big your company is. At some point, you get to the final round. You meet the decision maker or makers, the top dog in that department. Maybe it's the VP of HR. Perhaps it's the CEO, but you meet the one who's going to either give a thumbs up or a thumbs down on hiring you for that role when you make it to that final round. Now, the election process contains some similarities, at least for me. Based on my experience, I can't help but think about it that way. People answer the call. We hold debates and primaries and conventions, and in our current system, the final candidates from each party move to the final round, which is the election that is coming up in a few months. And the people of our great country have the final say. They make the decision, theoretically. But, and that is a very big but, in the presidential hiring process, we have not done the work that we've done in corporate America around fairness, access, discrimination, and bias. Not only does privilege, with a capital P, exist, privilege is a requirement for even getting in the candidate pool. You have to have money. You have to have access to real money before you can even put your name in the ring, before you can fill out that application or send in your resume. The biggest gate that the gatekeepers operate, in my opinion, is money and power, privilege, and this two-party system. It's all based on that. So we can all agree that the hiring process we're in right now, this election process, is flawed because the only candidates that make it to the final round haven't been vetted based on skills, experience, and education or their ability to do the job. They've been handed to us in the final round without this vetting, and they are the only choice, again, that was based on money, lobbying, power, greed, corruption. Despite all that, what I really want to talk about today is the ideal candidate. Even with its flaws, I still think of this election process as if we're hiring a CEO. Now, if we pretend that the process to elect a president is at least as fair as it is to hire a CEO, then let's start with the job description and what it says about who we want to hire. There's a very common phrase that you find in a lot of job descriptions. The ideal candidate will possess blank. The ideal candidate will do this. The ideal candidate will have this. And for purposes of our discussion today in this episode, I pulled some actual verbiage from job descriptions that I've had, that I've seen come across my desk, and that I found in different organizations that I've worked in. And I'm just going to read them to you, and I think you'll start to see the theme. The successful candidate will demonstrate a solution-oriented mindset, the ability to adapt to a growing organization, and a collaborative working style. Be inclusive, take ownership, work together, keep learning, make it exceptional. I actually love that one. As a leader, exhibit behavior and work ethics that provide a model for other employees. Special emphasis must be placed on a positive attitude, energetic effort and initiative, active public relations and service, and deep commitment to the institutional mission. We could spend a whole episode on this. Effective oral and written communication skills required. Here's another one, success factors. This is a little bit longer, but I actually found this on a job description that I had, and I thought it was great. Strong strategic capability with the ability to deliver both business and institutional strategy. Exceptional leadership skills with the ability to motivate others, drive multiple initiatives simultaneously. Ability to support the pursuit of innovation with integrity. Very high and uncompromising standards for financial control and integrity. An interest in and appreciation for the mission. Proactive, hands-on, collaborative style, strong service mentality, strong interpersonal skills, adept at negotiation, mentoring, and influencing, ability to work effectively with senior managers, interact with a diversity of employees with a wide variety of backgrounds. Here's another one. Strong interpersonal skills to foster a welcoming, effective, and efficient environment. Exceptional ethics, honesty, and integrity, as well as complete respect for confidentiality and the appropriateness of communications. The ideal candidate navigates complex financial landscapes effectively, maximizing performance and achieving significant results through a focus on collective success and strong stakeholder engagement. Drives success through the implementation of new systems and automated processes. Distinguished for fostering collaborative relationships, excels in uniting cross-functional teams and partners, ensuring cohesive efforts toward our goals. The ideal candidate is adept at developing strategic partnerships with other leaders and building strong alliances to drive growth. Results-oriented leader focused on building and scaling high-performing teams. So the things that I just shared with you are from real job descriptions used in very real hiring processes. And there are some definite themes inherent in these things I'm sharing, right? The real candidate we're hiring now for the top job of our country, head of the USA, the CEO of the most impactful organization around, the highest ranking official that we have, the commander-in-chief, we should expect nothing less than these things I just shared with you for CFOs and CEOs and COOs at regular old companies. We should expect nothing less than these things for our commander-in-chief. We should have a pool of candidates that represent the best and brightest in our country that arrive to the final round in a fair and equitable manner. And even though that isn't the case this year, we still have to move forward. The stakes are high. We are being gaslit every single day from every direction. We are lied to. We are treated like ignorant imbeciles and intentionally distracted with chaos, frivolous nonsense, confusion. Again, intentionally, so that we pay no attention to the man behind the curtain or what is really going on. For you and I, our lives are at stake. Our freedom, our health, our rights, our ability to keep our corner of the world safe for us and our families. This is the very foundational belief to this podcast. That is that home is a place we all want to be. We all want our corner of the world where we are safe, warm, loved, a place where we have enough, where we are enough. This is all there is. Our homes are at stake. Our corner of the world is at stake. And so in this episode, I wanted to encourage you today to think about your ideal candidate. What do they bring to the table? What boxes do they need to check? Are they the best person for the job? You can think for yourself. You can look at and understand facts. You don't need to be told what you think. You don't need to be told what's true. If you are confused about what the truth is, look for a new source of information. If all you feel is chaos, be still and figure out what you think. If you find yourself reading headlines that are ridiculous or idiotic or frivolous, stop. There is too much at stake for you and I to let the gaslighting continue. We do have a voice. We need to use it. Write to your news stations, your elected officials. Write letters. Tell them what you think. When it comes time to vote, vote for your ideal candidate. There are more options than Republican or Democrat. Now, people will gaslight you and tell you that you can't exercise your right to vote outside the two-party system because you'll screw up the power balance. But that isn't the spirit of the election process our forefathers had in mind, now is it? It's about the ideal candidate. It's about getting the best possible person for the job in that role, no matter how much somebody tells you something different. Always go back to this anchor. For me, if I'm writing this job description, I would use a lot of the same attributes that I've already talked about, what I read to you above. For me, the ideal candidate will demonstrate leadership first and foremost. Leadership skills is something that I really spend a lot of time thinking about. I already told you that I wrote a book about leadership. It is something I've pursued my whole life. And so to me, it's very important. There's actually an episode that I'm going to reshare in a couple of weeks about leadership and what leaders bring to the table. That's the number one thing that I look for, an unapologetic leader first. They need to have solid decision-making skills. They need to be an independent thinker and a problem solver, not motivated by corruption, greed, or self-interest. Because, I could find the candidate who thinks just like I think and believes everything that I believe. And there are certain things that are really important to me, right? Like I do look at people's position on gun control and Roe v. Wade and the border and immigration and sort of all those things that we're thinking about right now. I also think about healthcare and our food industry and big pharma and, all the gaslighting that's happening in all those areas. And so there's no way for me to find the candidate who agrees with me on every single issue. And that's why leadership and decision decision-making and independent thinking and problem-solving and how they're motivated is so important to me. That is what I look for. It's what I look for when I'm hiring a really good person for a job. And when the stakes are this high, the ideal candidate for me has those things. If corporate America is built on these ideals that I've talked about, these qualifications, these skills, abilities, shouldn't we expect nothing less from our country's CEO? What does it look like for you? I wanted to encourage you today to think about your ideal candidate. Think for yourself. You can do that. You don't have to be told who to vote for. You don't have to be told what a Republican looks like or what a Democrat looks like or who you should be voting for. I really want to encourage you to think for yourself. Think in terms of your ideal candidate. What are the skills, the experience, the education you want that person to have as your chief leader, as your CEO, as your commander-in-chief? What are you looking for as the ideal candidate? In some upcoming episodes, I'm going to keep talking about the ideal candidate and offer some perspective and things we should be looking for. Thanks for tuning in. You're not crazy. I'm not crazy. It's not me. It's not you. We can think for ourselves. Look around the room for others feeling the same way, and let's get Uncle Jim and Aunt Tonya off the dance floor. KellyBargabas.com has all the past episodes if you want to listen in. Share this, subscribe, like it. Godspeed, my friend, and until we meet again, take care.